Well, guys, unfortunately, a little bit of bad news this morning. We got ourselves a sick puppy dog. Let me explain. All right, yesterday we were heading home from the job when we drove the spud poles in the river there. And started pulling a hill, and the truck started acting a little bit funny. I drive this truck enough and know this truck well enough that any little tendency it has out of the normal I can pick up on pretty quick. Wasn't major, just noticed something was a little bit different. Got down to the shop, popped the hood on it, and heard a pretty distinct little noise. And I tried to pick it up on camera before I started taking some stuff apart, but it was just like a intermittent air leak is what it was doing. And got to poking around, and I don't know if you guys can see. It's gonna be really hard to see, but way down in that hole, there's a head. Let's see if I can get this light position here. So basically this engine has two heads on it. So this is one head, that's another head. This is the head brake. The head brake continues on down. If you look really close, right between the two heads, you see a bunch of black carbon, and that's not supposed to be there. So basically what has happened at some point yesterday is the puppy dog has blowed a head gasket. So I'm pretty sure it's the back head that's the problem. But by the time we get this engine stripped down enough to get the back head off, we're gonna go ahead and just pull both heads, check all the liner protrusion, check the block, check the heads, make sure everything's good. Hopefully we can just get away with putting a head gasket on it and getting it back going again. So I know this sounds crazy, guys, but this right here. This right here is the reason why, you remember whenever I was shopping for a triaxle truck, I was so particular about the truck and the engine I got. I got to cut a lot of slack for wanting a Mack truck and different things, and obviously I'm not saying these are the best trucks on the road, but this is the engine out of all engines built in the world that I am the most familiar with. I've got a tremendous amount of training on these, worked on them at the dealership, know a whole lot about them. I used to be able to change a head out on one of these in about 6 hours. Don't count on that happening today. It's been a while since I've done that. But here's the reality of the situation. This truck went down yesterday at 5 o'clock. I pulled it in the shop, diagnosed it, got it cooled off, got some parts ordered, which are supposed to be in at noon today, and we may have this thing running by the end of the day or noon tomorrow. That's a huge advantage for me, and that's why I run these trucks, is because I know them like the back of my hand. I can work on them, I can diagnose them. I know what to look for and what to do. And honestly, this has been, you guys see what we do with this truck. We run the dog crap out of it. Literally, I've had this truck for 15 years, and this is really the first major issue we've had with it. So I'm not complaining whatsoever. All right. Enough yakking about that. Hopefully that makes a lot of sense. So basically what we got to do is we got to pull both heads off this thing. Yesterday I pulled the air cleaner off and a few other things, just trying to figure out what was going on. I wanted to make sure we didn't have a broken, sometimes these things will break a valve yoke guide pin and it'll make a similar noise. Once I seen that carbon, I knew what it was. So I was going to pull the valve covers off, check the valve train, but that ended up being a mute point. So I did go ahead and pull the fuel line off. Normally you don't have to do it on a normal truck because the fuel tanks are down here. But since my fuel tank is up here, it will gravity feedback full through, and conveniently enough, it's full of fuel. So that don't help our situation at all. So we're gonna strip down this side first. I don't know, it's a little easier to strip down this side. So we'll start over here. We gotta pull all these injector lines out. I got to pull the exhaust manifold off, and honestly that's pretty much it for this side. Most of the work's over on the other side, so let's get after it. Let's yank some injector lines. It's not absolutely necessary. I did go through and mark all these lines. This injector line is actually seated into that injector back there, and I just want to try to get everything back where it come from. So these things come off pretty easy. On the EUP pump down there, pull it up, it slides out, and that's all there is to it. All right, clicking right along here. Got all the injector lines out. Got the turbo feed line off, turbo return line off, intake boost boat off, or intake boost boot and piping off. Got the exhaust clamp off. I went ahead and got these few manifold bolts back there. They're a little more difficult to get to. The rest of them, I think, in theory, we should be able to get to with the good old hammer wrench. So let's see if we can reach in there and grab them. We'll slide that intake exhaust manifold off. And this side here will pretty much be stripped down. We'll be ready to go to the other side and start taking the intake off. So this thing here should slide right up and through. Oh, so close. We'll have to get us a little swivel action on that. It's way easier. Oh no, don't lose it. All right, let me go back to both hands. That's not right. Bill showed up to help me because I don't have any other help this morning. So Bill's going to start taking the valve covers off. We're going to go around to the other side and start stripping down the intake side. As you guys can see, this side's a little bit more complicated, but we'll get her knocked out. So this is just what you want to be doing this morning, isn't it, Bill?
Yeah. I was looking for something today. I can always call on you.
Yeah.
If I'm looking for something.
You'll never be bored around here, so. Yeah. All right, I think the first thing I probably ought to do is drain the antifreeze out of this thing before I pull that water manifold off and forget about it. I gotta climb back out of here. Take the cap off up here so it can breathe.
I'm going to scratch your valve cover.
Oh, you gotta do first and
Where all them long bolts go, we won't have to worry about it.
yeah, these.
I gotta have a wrench for over there. I started to take that off, coming off the wrong way.
It's like you've done this once or twice, Bill.
Well, how many times have you took them up, put them all in, and then have to take half of them back out?
Oh, about half the times I put them in.
Yeah, that.
About as many times as I pulled the heads off one of these and forgot to drain the antifreeze and had one big old mess. Don't look too bad underneath there for 1,000,000 miles.
Pretty good.
We got one bolt right there.
Yeah, that's the one.
I think we may just have to slide this up and see if it'll spin around.
Yeah. I want to see what happens there.
Look at that, we're going to modify a wrench to get on it. It's got a double nut that holds that wire and you can't get a wrench down below there. See what's underneath cover number 2. Don't look too shabby either.
Not bad, but pretty clean.
So these are the Jake extension housings. We got to get that wire off there. This one. There you go, Bill.
A Jake brake loads up the compression on the cylinder too.
Well, good news. These Jake brakes don't work all that well, so. There's number 2. So this is the jake brake housing that sits on top of the rocker housing. We'll have to pull that off next, then we'll pull the rocker assembly off. At least everything's fairly easy to get to on this engine. Oh, I'll say that. Now I got a fuel line I want to cut off. Come on, baby. I need both hands. Hold on.
It's all the bolts. I put the bolts in the first one came out of the back one. I don't know if
There's one closest to you, the first one.
yeah, this one here. There's nothing in that valve cover.
See if I can put these over here and keep them from spilling fuel everywhere. Always the little things that end up being the aggravating ones.
That was way too high. And I mean a little bit high, I mean way high.
Well, there's... All right, next thing on the list is get this water manifold off here. This bolt right down in here can be a little bit of a pain in the butt, but got one of these cheap like through hole sockets that you can put a wrench on. It works pretty good for getting down in there and getting them busted loose.
Which drawer has the impact sockets in it?
They're on the bench up there.
Where?
On the bench.
On the bench.
There you go, just like that.
Help.
Oh yeah. Oh, I'm getting an extension belt. Well, Bill, I think we're ready to pull some heads off. Got all the intake and water manifold pulled off this one. We're going to leave it on that one. All that stuff should feed down through there. This is my handy dandy universal head puller tool. You like that?
Looks, yeah. We could have left that clevis over there until we got it screwed in there.
That'd be too easy, Bill.
I know it.
At least we got a handy crane.
Yeah. Here we go. We're about to get somewhere.
All right, get down here and man the controls.
Yeah, I guess I'll around up here. this untwisted, because soon we'll pick it up.
All ready?
Yep.
Oh, she's coming.
All right. You got it.
A little bit of antifreeze left in there, but ain't too bad.
You got it.
You ready?
Yep.
You ready for head number 2, sir?
All right.
Because you gotta be a little bit more careful watching that wiring and stuff. Make sure it don't
All right, I'm
catch on
going to try to
anything.
hold it so it don't go flying.
All right. There we go.
Oh, that. Okay, go ahead up. We got it. Got it. Watch this. That hose is hanging there. You got something else, see? What's this wire right here?
Everything's.
Okay, go ahead.
You're on this hose right here. This turbo feed line, Bill.
I was watching you. Pull your hoses there back one more time. I think it's just heavy on that side. Oh, there's something got to be hooked up over there.
What we got? Oh, yeah, we got a cooler line here on the bottom.
Yeah.
That goes to the air compressor. Hold on just a second.
Yes.
Clear?
Yep.
Just as suspected, this cylinder here is our trouble cylinder. You guys see how the gasket split right there, but there's going to be something more wrong with that fire ring. Let's get her off there. Let's see what we got. There she goes. I guess she just blew, Bill. You can just see where she's barely blowing by it.
Yeah.
Right there. One little bitty spot.
Yeah. I didn't wait with my.
You guys see how this is all shiny? That's the way it's supposed to look. You see how this one here's got stuff blowing around it?
I can wipe that down a little bit there.
Fire ring still on there though, so that's good on the liner at least. You guys got the heads pulled off, kind of inspecting stuff here, trying to figure out what is going on. So let me try to explain this to you the best I can. This right here is the block, obviously. This piece right here, if you look close, it'll come up out. That's what they call the liner. That's what the piston goes up and down inside of, and there's obviously the piston. All the holes, all the pistons, everything looks pretty good. Still got all the hash marks and everything in them. Number 6 has got a small little scuff back here, but it's nothing I'm concerned about. So our failure was right here, and this is what they call a fire ring. So basically this does exactly what it says. It's the ring that keeps the fire in the hole. This is where the explosion happens. If you look really close at the liner, you can see it's got a ridge in it right there. Hopefully that shows up on camera. That ridge right there. So whenever you get this fire ring, you'll see right now that fire ring has a groove in it. Whenever we get a brand new one, we put the new head gasket on, that groove will not be there. So what happens is whenever you put this ring on here and then you take the head and smash it down on there, there's a ridge, I should say, there's a ridge on the liner, there's a groove in the head, and that's what basically makes the seal to seal the combustion in there and do what it needs to. So, if you look really close, right here, that ridge is wore down for whatever reason. I don't know. Let's see if I can get a different light on it. Hopefully that shows up. But from right there to right there, the ridge is still there, but it is wore down considerably. If you look at this fire ring, you can see right there, it's almost like it was loose in there and it was working back and forth. See how pronounced that ridge is there? And then right here, how it's just gone, it's smooth. So let's go over to the head and let me show you what we got going on over here. So this is the head we pulled off. And if you look really close, let me get down here and get in position. If you look really close, right here, you can almost see a whole nother groove where that ring's been kind of wearing. It should look like this. Whoops, hang on. It should look like it's up here. See how it's got that groove right there? So basically on that liner, it takes this material, shoves it up, and that groove gives it a relief, a place to go, and that's what seals it off. So I don't know what has happened from here to there, but that thing has literally worked itself back and forth until it failed. So a couple different potential reasons. One is the liner could be too low in the block. Usually that kind of makes an even wear all the way around there. I did check the liner protrusion, which is how far the liner sticks above the block. It seems to be fine. It's one of two things that have happened. It's either this head bolt was not torqued properly or left loose, or most likely what has happened is for some reason this head has warped right here. Let me put you guys down over here. So I put you guys down over here and I shine light back behind there. See how that light is coming behind the thing right there? And that's actually a pretty significant amount of light, which tells me that that head is warped. When I mean warped, that basically means the bottom of the head is no longer flat. For overheated, heat cycles, I mean, this thing's got a lot of miles on it. Who knows? But long story short, I believe a warped head has caused a fire ring failure, which has caused our head gasket failure. Hopefully you guys followed all that. All right, so where do we go from here? Honestly, we could put a new head gasket back on this truck, put it on there, it would start up, it would run just fine. The question mark is gonna be if we do that, it may run for a day, it may run for 5 years. If we were sending this truck to auction, it's kind of why I'm a little bit leery about seeing new heads on trucks at auctions. If we were sending this truck to auction, we'd be good to go. There wouldn't be no problems whatsoever. No matter what we do to do it right, we're gonna have to either have that head machined or get a replacement head. The question mark is, what do we do with this liner? Because this liner also has got some damage right here. It's not significant enough to be a guaranteed failure, but it's definitely enough that it's not right. So here's my take on it. I have no intentions of selling this truck. I have no intentions of getting rid of this truck. I have every intention of running this truck for a long time yet. A new liner and piston is $700. I can have it tomorrow morning. So we're gonna pull that piston and that liner out of it. We're just gonna replace it. We're gonna put a new head on it, put a new head gasket on it. A little more work, a little more money, but hopefully all that equals a much more reliable truck. That's the hope. That's the hope. So I was hoping we wouldn't find that. I knew it was gonna be a chance we'd find out. I was hoping we'd just throw some head gaskets on it and go. But we definitely got an issue there. The root of our issue is the head. I can promise you that. But this is collateral damage. So, all right, to get that piston and liner out of there, next thing we need to do. Hopefully, did you guys follow that? Hopefully, you guys followed all that. That's why you got to be careful about just throwing head gaskets on things. And this is not the only style engine that has issues with that. Cummins has actually got a real like a knife type thing up there. And whenever people come in here and clean the head gasket, they'll knock it down and there'll be a guaranteed failure later. So got to pay attention to the details to make it right. So, all right, Next thing we gotta do is, since we are pulling the piston out of it, we got to pull the oil pan off. I've already got the oil drained out of it, so let's head down underneath, get it nice and dirty, get the oil pan off of it, and we'll get the piston off the crank, shove it up out of there, and then we'll get that liner pulled out of there and then wait for parts. Pulling the oil pan off an engine sounds like a good time. I'm pretty sure said nobody ever. Oh man, come on, are we gonna get up in there? Give me a little up here. Got it. Oh. You guys probably can't even see anymore. Come on. Alright, let me finish pulling these down and we'll drop that pan and see what we got. All right, hopefully you guys can see something down there. This is cylinder number 4 right here we're working on, and the rod is all the way up. It's got this little tool that goes in the bell housing over here. Crank it, engine turns over, which is super handy. I don't remember who it was, but an awesome subscriber actually sent me that tool after watching one of my videos, which is awesome because it's coming in handy today, let me tell you. All right. Almost there. Come on, baby. We'll get that bolt to go just far enough we can get a socket on there. That rod will actually fly over and we can shove her up through there. So, all right, now we just need a socket. All right, hopefully you guys can see up there. Let's see if we can get this rod cap busted off there. Good news, it's tight. It's one. Alright. Alright, now we got the rod cap off. I'm going to rotate that around just a little bit. And then we should be able to lightly tap that off there. There's the bearing. We'll kind of keep that away from the crank. It's got enough sharp edges on it. Can maybe kind of damage it. Get this bearing out of here, keep it clean. And now, all we gotta do is watch that oil nozzle up there. We should be able to shove her straight up and out. Since this liner is basically junk, I took a little air tool, just made sure there's not a lip. Sometimes there's a little bit of a carbon lip or a wear lip. Not much of a wear lip, a little bit of carbon built up on the very top. Make sure that piston slides out of there easy. All right, I'm gonna go shove her out. Voila! There's the beauty in all of her glory. She looks pretty doggone good, really. Got just I'm talking the slightest amount of wear on those bearings, but pretty happy with the way all that looks. So the last piece of the puzzle is we got to get this liner pulled up out of here. I actually borrowed my buddy's universal liner puller. Hopefully I'm smart enough to get this thing figured out. Got to be really careful. There's an oil cooler nozzle down there. I don't know if you guys can see that little bitty thing right there. Gotta make sure we don't damage it. I could go underneath and take it off, but it's kind of a pain in the butt to get to, so we're gonna try to work around it. See if we can figure this thing out. All right, I believe I got her set up. She's locked into the bottom of the liner. We're missing that nozzle. Got my supports as close as I can. So in theory, we tighten this down, that liner should pop up out of there. She's pulling pretty hard. Oh, did you hear that? That's what we want. You guys see it coming up? There it is, guys. Liner is removed. Everything looks pretty good down there. These things actually don't use O-rings. They got silicone down there on that counterbore, and sometimes that counterbore gets pitted. They leak a little bit of water down in the oil. At least this cylinder here, it looks really good. Everything on this engine looks really good except for that one stinking fire ring on cylinder number 4, which I'm not for sure what the cause or what the culprit was. Like I said, my best guess is we had a warped head. I know you guys can't see a whole lot there, but the inside cylinder inside cylinder walls and everything look good. Bearing looks good. Excuse me. Everything looks good. But I got a hold of the dealer. They do have a head in stock. They got all the gaskets in stock. Actually, they got everything in stock that I think I need except for the liner. They're supposed to have it in the morning, so I'm gonna spend the evening finish cleaning up the rest of these few pieces and parts, inspect everything, make sure there's nothing else we need. Hopefully in the morning I'll go after some parts and we can start putting this thing back together tomorrow. But that's going to be a wrap on this one, guys. Turned into a little bit more of a project than what I was anticipating. The old puppy dog was a little sicker than I thought she was, and we got to get this girl back going. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, give her a big old thumbs up. Want to make sure you don't miss out on what's coming up next. If you haven't already, I consider subscribing. That way we can catch you on the next one. We got quite the puzzle to put back together.